And welcome once again to another episode of the Horizon Roundtable. This one is live, coming to you from YouTube. Hopefully this works. Hopefully everybody can hear us okay. If you can't, obviously send us a reply and tell us we are doing things horribly, horribly wrong. But I am Bob McDonald, and you can find me on Twitter at Bob McDonald. And joining me, of course, is my co-host, Matt Dudek.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes, and Matt, of course, you can find at GrizzTalkOU, and you can follow the podcast on Twitter and send your questions for this live episode on Twitter at HorizonRT. And Matt, hey, new year, new year, new things going on, actually.
New things. All right.
New things, yes, exactly. So, well, first and foremost, apparently, one thing that is new, same as it ever was, is Wright State sweeping the weekend, but we knew that was going to happen.
I mean, you say new things, but it sounds to me, Wright State's doing what they're supposed to do. In my world, Oakland beat Mercy again. Everything's the same.
But there is one little secret twist here. First weekend, we actually have a team that also swept, and it was Youngstown State, actually.
The Penguins coming through.
It's interesting because you had, let's see here. The link, of course, isn't working. That sucks. I wonder what link they're working. Phoenix Rising just sent us an email letting us know the link isn't working, which is fabulous because this is stupid. Unless, of course, the link isn't working. Well, great. I guess everybody's screwed. That's fun. Well, crud. More info. Let's see here. Let's try this again, shall we? I'm going to send out the link to everybody again. So this is going to be let's try this again. But, so obviously, I'm very sad right now.
Oh, we wanted to go live.
We did want to go live. This is true. Well, there's a little explanation for this, because last year when Jimmy and I had done this, we had actually, when we actually had used it via YouTube Live, via Hangouts, on air. YouTube, in their infinite wisdom, got rid of all that stuff. So I had to do a little workaround. We do this next year. We're doing it completely different. Seriously. Anyway, let's try this. Yeah, I am sending out another link, everybody. But of course, it probably doesn't work either. So, please use the key for you. Okay, this is not helping. Are you seriously making me do this? Yes, you are. Yeah, this is kind of my fault, folks, because I really am not very good at this stuff, which is very bad. Oh man, come on. Yeah, usually I'm able to do that, but this is not helping right now. Anyway, so what was I doing? Okay, yeah, so let's just get into kind of the questions. Let's start off with Youngstown State, only because of the fact that because we'll definitely get into the Northern Kentucky losing. It does work. I just sent out the new. Let me go ahead and send that second one out. So apparently, I just need to send a new link.
We'll do it live.
All right, here's the new link, everyone. Because Phoenix Rising got in.
Yay! What's up, y'all?
Somebody got in. Apparently they're So yes, apparently we're doing that. Yay! Okay, so theoretically it does work, unless I'm a complete idiot, which is anyway. So let's actually talk about. So let's talk about. Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about the Youngstown State win, the Youngstown State sweep, really. I guess I guess the question is from Nick, who of course I know at Seatown forever. Recently converted Youngstown State fan, big fan of Jared Calhoun. He had two questions. First of all, the one question was, why is it that how did Naz Bohannon or Darius Quisenberry not win Horizon League Player of the Week? Loudon Love did win this week, to which that's actually a good question. I'm not really sure. I don't work at the league offices, so I don't know what to tell you.
Well, somebody's question, I forgot, I'm not paying attention right now. Somebody asked, do we think that the Horizon League protects Loudon Love? And
I didn't see that one. Maybe they just sent it to you. Oh, wait, yes. Actually, Phoenix Rising said it.
Is that who? I was going to say, I forgot to note who it was, but I don't think they protect him, but they definitely promote him probably beyond what they should. I think the Horizon League wants to have certain players, lead the league and be out front, and Loudon Love's one of those people.
Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily agree. So I think, in one of these moments where they could give that award to, Quisenberry or Love, they're going to give it to Love so that they can then later try to make him at least a Horizon League first teamer, if not player of the year for them, because that's who they want representing them. I don't agree with any of that, but I do believe that's what the Horizon League is up to. I think most of the people that vote on these, well, not most, I think some of the people that do get votes at the end of the year for those awards only look at the number of player of the weeks they won and such, and they want to use that trick. So I think the Horizon League really pushes the players that they need in positions so that they can fill out their end of the year awards.
That's sure. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, Loudon Love did miss a significant amount of time because of the injury. So, I mean, and while that was going on, you started seeing other players emerge, like a Dantez Walton at Northern Kentucky, who unfortunately also got hurt, like a Darius Quisenberry at Youngstown State. These players, they're emerging. And so, and I guess my only question would be is that you had so many other players that have been Horizon League Players of the Week, even when Loudon Love wasn't hurt. So I'm not sure. It's a good question, and I don't know. And I guess we'll find out soon enough as when we get to teams that have prominent big men, a little more prominent big men. Like I want to see the UIC Wright State game because Jordan Blount's back. And so I don't know if that's something that's going to I mean, we'll see when he comes up against some of these bigger guys. Like for example, not just UIC, but Oakland. Oakland's got their guys. And I think also too he might, with Cleveland State too. Because Al Eichelberger has come on. And now Jalen Hill is back 100%. And I'm very interested in seeing that dynamic now against Loudon Love himself. Maybe not necessarily against the entire team, but I do see some opportunities across the Horizon League for a test of that theory of does the league protect Loudon Love? Because I'm not 100% on that yet.
Makes sense.
And as for the Naz Bohannon, Darius Quisenberry Player of the Week thing, that's kind of a mystery because those guys really stepped up this past weekend. I mean, maybe it is kind of the name recognition, even though let's face it, both Bohannon and Quisenberry should be known quantities within the conference by now, both of them. You got Darius Quisenberry, who is a top player in this league, and you have Naz Bohannon, who is definitely a guy defensive wise. He's one of the best. He's one of the best rebounders in the conference. I really do think, and I'm not just saying this because Nas Bohannon is from my hometown of Lorain, Ohio, but I think he's really super Homer. I know. For now, yeah. And just like everybody else, but anyway, but yeah, but I see him. I personally think Bohannon is underrated in terms of the Horizon League, and I think that's the really important thing. And I really do think too that when you look at their both of their stats specifically, specifically against a UIC team that has a Jordan Blunt. Nas Bohannon had 12 rebounds against Jordan Blunt, 5 of them on the offensive glass. So yeah, Darius Quisenberry went off for 20 against UIC. So it stands to reason that there could be an argument made for both of those guys. And to Nick's second question, I did see that as well. The ceiling. As far as the ceiling is concerned for YSU, that's a good question. I don't know. I think and honestly, and I'm going to say this, and I know Nick's going to get pissed at me, but the big test is going to be this weekend when they play Cleveland State. I really think so.
I disagree. I know you're big on Cleveland State.
And I'm just saying I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree that on paper Youngstown State is the superior team. I mean, they have the manpower, they have the bodies, they have the talent, they have the oh my God, they have the everything. I mean,
the coaching is the main thing. That's what's always held Youngstown back, and they've got a really good coach right now.
They do. I know there's a lot of I would have really rather, if given the choice, I would have rather had Jared Calhoun over Dennis Felton. At least he wouldn't be making, B movie villain references now, and lost 2 years to, stupidity, 3 years actually. But weirdly enough, over the last 2 years, and you can make the argument that both of Calhoun's squads in the last 2 seasons were better than Cleveland State's, without a doubt. Youngstown State is 1-4, and I don't know. Maybe it's weird because I've been waiting this for so long. This whole idea, and this actually segues into a question we got last week from Sean O'Neill from Detroit Mercy fan. We'll get into who talked about these rivalries, because we've already seen one of them play out in Oakland and Detroit Mercy. We're going to have we have the Cleveland State Youngstown State that they have the benefit of the proximity, but as far as a rivalry is concerned, who's not fomenting hatred. Maybe it's because Cleveland State has by and large not had a fan base, or they've been so beaten down that they're just like, oh well, whatever. But I like how the dynamic is now setting up for that game and subsequent games in the future. Only because of the fact that not just because of the emergence of Jared Calhoun in year 3 of that program, but also, and I'm totally blown away by this, kind of the surprise emergence of Cleveland State under Dennis Gates this year. Because let's face it, if you were sitting here and thinking that Cleveland State was going to get 5 wins all year, what would you have said in the beginning, in the preseason? If I had told you that Cleveland State would get at least 5 wins before 2020, before in 2019, before the calendar rolled over into the new year, what would you have said, Matt?
I'd have said no. I'd said there's no way. I think that maybe in the future you guys are off to some good things, but there's just no way right now that program is in complete disarray, and I hate Scott Garrett.
Exactly. And oh, by the way, speaking of which, I know you keep saying that the whole thing about the whole Cleveland State thing with transfer waivers. Guess who else got a transfer waiver? Dibaji Walker. He's actually yes, Dibaji Walker got his transfer waiver approved. That's on the NCAA for them taking so damn long, but he got his transfer waiver approved. So and Steph Kenich, by the way, he didn't even have to. Neither Steph Kenich nor Dibaji Walker had to appeal. They both got their waivers approved without any having to go through the appeal process. So I don't know what to tell you.
That sounds like my mind, because I mean, from what I know of the Rashad Williams situation, there shouldn't have been a question. So it blows my mind.
But actually, and you mentioned the Rashad Williams. There was actually an extra wrinkle with the Steph Kenich situation because one of the local newspapers in Tennessee had talked about Kenich and Uros Plasic, who was originally scheduled to sign up for Cleveland State, and then one of Drazen Zlevaric, who was one of Dennis Felton's first assistants, bailed on him, went to Arizona State, and then magically Uros Plasic shows up at Arizona State, and then Zlevaric leaves Arizona State, and Uros Plasic decides, I'm going to get out of here. So he decides to transfer to Tennessee. It was such a convoluted situation because it also involves Steph Kenich. Steph Kenich actually transferred to Tennessee Chattanooga, which, if I understand it correctly, is Drazen Zlevaric's alma mater. So it seemed kind of weird, but at the same time, Kenich was absolutely positively. I mean. Steph Kenich was approved, so I don't know what to tell you on that one. But anyway, yeah.
All I know is could we use a shooter and a point guard?
Yeah. Yes. So that's the big. Well, the other thing. So yeah. So yes, you would have been crazy, and you'd have been late. I mean, you'd have absolutely. I know what your opinion of it was. You were hoping for many, many losses, and well, I mean, technically, you did get many, many losses. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I was thinking, oh my God, we're going to lose everything by 25 plus points because that's what was happening, especially after that Florida International game. I'm still having nightmares of that, although the Ball State IUPUI game is making me feel a little better. But yeah, I mean, the way that Cleveland, and this is why I keep saying that, that defense that Dennis Gates has put in, which he's a disciple of Leonard Hamilton, so this is where this is all coming from. These absolutely, they're going to defend their way into wins that you didn't expect, and they came very close to doing that against UIC because UIC only beat them by 5 points.
I think
they had to pull that win out of their ass, because they were tied with about 3 minutes left, I think. So they had to pull that. I don't think they, if that trend continues, I don't think UIC gets out of Cleveland with a win. I really don't. Do I think Cleveland State has done enough? Do I think Cleveland State has enough to get out of the cellar with the rest of the teams in the cellar? Probably not this year, but they do have the pieces in place. They really do have the pieces in place. I mean, there are two guys in there who I mentioned it last episode. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it last episode. Trago Million, the junior college transfer. I still think. I mean, he's the guy is fearless. I really do. He should be an all defensive guy, and I think they found their ball handler. Another JUCO guy, Craig Baldwin. I mean, he had like 9 assists against UIC. He had 6 assists against IUPUI. He seems to be the guy who's creating right now. So it's an interesting dynamic. So this kind of goes back to the interesting thing. Where, and again, this is, and I want to say that now that you have Dennis Gates, who has really kind of blown me away with the level of improvement that Cleveland State has had just in the last 3 months. That game's at the Wolstein Center, the Cleveland State Youngstown State game. I am very interested in seeing how that one plays out. I do think, I will see though that I would say that, Youngstown State does have the players. I think on paper they should get the win. But man, I don't know. I mean, maybe we are finally getting to the point where I've been hoping for this for years, that the Youngstown State Cleveland State rivalry will finally rear its head, and we can finally have this thing where we have teams and fans that are gonna butt heads, and it's not for the battle for the cellar. That would just be an amazing, amazing thing. So
here's hoping.
Here is absolutely hoping. So going beyond that, and actually I want to bring this up because Phoenix Rising asked another question. I got one from Kevin Pitlowski. I'm gonna get to you, Kevin.
I've got 2 or 3 that are Detroit Mercy based as well. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So hopefully none of them are stalking.
Let's not go down that path right now.
Let us not go down that path at all. I'm not really. Yeah, that. There's no place for that. Anyway, the question that I got from Phoenix Rising is, and this actually is directly related to this past weekend, I think. Do you think the tough non-conference schedule for Green Bay will help them this conference year? I think it's already paying dividends. They got the win against Northern Kentucky. And since the preseason, I've actually put Green Bay in kind of that second tier, between, because obviously Wright State is kind of the class of the league, but that 2 through 7 was always kind of a fluid situation. Milwaukee's kind of backsliding. I don't know if they're going to be. I want to say they're going to get better. I mean, they've got the pieces, but when's it going to come together? Win, Lord, win. But as far as Green Bay is concerned, and maybe it's because they have been so kind of up and down with some of these weird losses they had in the non-conference. I'd like to think they've kind of shaken that out, and I'd also like to think they're kind of the loss of Tank Calvill really hurts them, but at the same time, does it really?
I mean, the way I see it is, if you ask me, do I think Green Bay is going to win the Horizon? My answer is no.
No.
Would I be surprised if they won the Horizon and got the NCAA bid? No, they're not a bad team. There's good things happening. And honestly, that's kind of how I feel about everybody. Like, anyone could. I mean, Wright State was given a game this past weekend. Like, anyone could have a chance to do it, and anyone's going to win. They're going to be probably a 14, 15 seed, and that's just kind of who we are this year. And it's not exciting, but that's just the reality. So I do think Green Bay is doing some good things. I do think they could pull it out in the end. I'm not going to count them out by any means. I don't think I'm counting on anybody not named Detroit Mercy right now.
Not named. Well, I wouldn't go too. I wouldn't go. I mean, and they have the kind of the manpower to do it too. They have. They got Jaquan McLeod. They've got, Amari Davis. I think he is probably putting a stamp on his bid for freshman of the year. I think he's making a good argument. Yeah, and they have, and again, they really have gone to, they went to the Nether Center. They went to BB&T Arena. They went toe to toe with Wright State. They beat Northern Kentucky. I mean, that for them, that's kind of, I mean, they start the conference schedule in the buzzsaw, and they looked at it right in the eye and said, okay, yeah, I mean, we can handle this. I mean, if we can handle this, if we can handle this, I'll be very interested in seeing how everything goes on the road.
If you can go on the road in our league, and I mean, that's a tough road trip.
Oh, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
If you can go on that trip and you can come away with a close loss to Wright State and beating Northern Kentucky, that's a good road trip right now.
It really is, and especially, Yeah, especially for a team, and especially for a team like Green Bay, is who is still really working to find themselves, and they just got to get that. They've got at least two scoring options. A third scoring option, they kind of rotate between Manny Patterson and Cam Hankerson. PJ Pipes, when he's on, can get into that role as well. So I mean, they Link Darner has never been without multiple different options if he so chooses to do so. It's always been, especially Green Bay has always been kind of that next man up kind of program. As I've seen, specifically last year. I mean, you had, even when you had a guy like Sandy Cohen, who was easily one of the best players that has gone through Green Bay in quite a while. Even with him, they still had quite a few individuals who were able to step up with that. And so I think that's kind of that's kind of the thing, which actually leads me to so with that said, and now they get into their schedule is a little bit more favorable next week because they're going to be at home. They're playing IUPUI. They're playing Wright State this upcoming weekend. So I'll be honest with you. I think they're probably gonna, the way IUPUI and UIC played at home this weekend, I like Green Bay's chances. I think Green Bay could very well get out of the next weekend with two wins, and they will probably be. So I really do think that's going to be. Yeah, Green Bay has always been a kind of a interesting kind of situation, I think, because I always thought that they were really kind of they were always kind of a wild card to me, really. And they're proving it now.
I agree. Like I said, that's yes.
Yeah. So let's see here. So actually the question that Kevin Pulaski actually sent over: how many wins will it take to be in second place? And this is assuming Wright State wins the league. I say 12. I know that's a really low number, but somebody's going to have to at least get 12, because I still think that 2 through 7 is going to be kind of a knockdown drag out between all of those teams between 2 and 7. They're just going to beat each other. I think all of those teams are going to beat each other up.
And
I think that's probably low. It may be more than that, but I think the bottom number on those wins is about 12. And I also don't think, and I know everybody would speculate that Wright State would win. Wright State's going to win. They're not going to be undefeated. No Horizon League team has been undefeated since like Butler, I think, or I can't remember who the last team that was undefeated.
None I can remember, for what that's worth.
Yeah. But no team is going to be undefeated. Wright State's not going to. Somebody's going to beat Wright State, but it's not going to affect that. I still think at this point in time they are in a situation where they're well positioned. I will put it to you this way: they are well positioned. Even 2 games in. Yeah, I know 2 games isn't much, but I think they're pretty well positioned. Do I think they go up to Wisconsin and have some trouble? Yeah, I really do. Especially the way that what they call it played, with the way that Green Bay played. But yeah, I really do think that as far as the second place team is concerned, you're gonna have to get at least 12 wins, at least.
I agree. That's the number I would have had on it. So I mean, because I think it was 13 won the conference last year. So
13 did, yeah, which is amazing because when you think about it, that's like, yeah, I mean that's, yeah, you 13. I mean, because you got an 18 game schedule, there are 5 losses floating around somewhere. I don't know. I honestly, I guess the question that's got to be interesting, because I don't know how many losses I see Wright State having. I don't know.
Can I tell you?
I don't think they're world. I don't think they can. Wright State can be beat, but I don't know how often they're going to get beat. It's kind of my point.
I think, and again, I've predicted things in the past, and it never goes well, so it won't happen now. Believe it or not, I think one of their first losses is coming up this weekend, but it's not the Oakland game. I think they're going to lose to Mercy.
Really?
So we have 3 questions that have come in Detroit Mercy based, and so I'll kind of play these all together here.
Okay.
Chris Cousino, Oakland fan, wants to know: do you think Davis will need to transfer from Mercy away from his dad in order to take his game to the next level? Really? And the answer is no. I don't think that. I don't think there is another level for him in the college game. Yeah. But I think what we're going to see against Wright State is we're going to see last year Antoine Davis show up. I think he had a really great game against Gonzaga, and he's going to roll that into that home game with Wright State, and he's going to play up. And I think he's going to go off for 30, 40 points, and he's going to get just enough help to upset Wright State. And that's going to be one of the Wright State losses. And at the end of the day, it's going to just hurt Wright State, trying to get into, seeding for NCAA tournament or like it's just going to be a factor. And I think, like you said, there's always, 4 or 5 losses floating around. I think that's going to be a surprise one for Wright State. But it's the Antoine Davis factor, and it's tough to ignore that. But I don't think he needs to transfer. I don't see a way that makes sense. If he was going to transfer, it needed to probably happen this year with the APR ban. Yeah, but I don't see him playing more than 3 years in college. So I think next year's going to be his last year. I don't see him transferring somewhere to do that at this point. His dad's going to try to surround him with JUCOs next year, selling the Antoine factor. So I think, if anything, Detroit Mercy next year is going to be a kind of a one-hit wonder. But I don't see Antoine Davis transferring. And then Kyle Craven wants to know, what is Antoine Davis's realistic upside beyond college? While he is a fantastic shooter, I don't think he has the ball handling skills and the defensive skills, and he's just not big enough to make it in the NBA. I think he's going to be a lot like Ray McCallum, where it seemed like this, this is an NBA guy, and he's going to get a sniff, but he's going to make his money in Europe, and that's okay. He's going to be a great Euro player. I don't see a way with his size and with the skill set he does have that he makes in the NBA. That's, maybe he'll prove me. I would love for him to prove me wrong. I say this all the time. I actually really want to like Antoine Davis. I just can't yet. So I would love to see that happen.
No, I get it. I mean, it's important to, and I think that's going to be, and again, the whole thing kind of falls on Antoine. I mean, what are you going to do? And that's basically the whole thing with that entire team. Kind of falls, with rises and falls with the success of Antoine Davis. And I really think, and you are correct. I mean, he does play up those specific occasions where he really does kind of step his game up there. And I think that's going to be a major factor this particular weekend, given that he's going up against Wright State, that he's going up against Northern Kentucky, and when you consider what happened in Northern Kentucky this weekend, and also you got to take in consideration the fact that they're still without Jalen Tate. They're still, they're still, Northern Kentucky's still hurting. It's a situation for them that they might have some issues this weekend. Well, on the Northern Kentucky side, I know that John Parker actually mentioned this in his power rankings this week. But yeah, those guys having some issues is a real problem, and I don't know if that's going to be something that gets fixed.
One thing that go ahead and finish that thought.
Actually, I was going to say that this entire time, nobody's been able to hear you on the live broadcast.
Yeah, I saw that. Sorry, everybody. You'll have to listen to this again, and I promise I'm worth the listen a second time. And
wow, that's stupid. Oh, see, yeah. So yeah. Again, this is kind of, man. I guess I must have missed a. Were you gonna let me do this? Bandwidth audio.
Well, while you're looking, I got to give this shout out. So obviously we had the Detroit Oakland quote unquote rivalry game a couple days ago, and talking about Antoine Davis, the defense that Trey Maddox played on him was through the roof. I mean, Davis got 24 points. It was on 4 of 13 shooting. Like it was all free throws, and I think one of those threes was like at the buzzer. Like that's a pretty weak 24 points. Trey Maddox played some incredible defense, and I think any other team that has a great on-ball defender, they just saw the blueprint of how to shut him down without having to double or do anything crazy. It did help that Calipari was out, but I just got to say Trey Maddox played a hell of a game, and he's had a kind of rough season up in Oakland land, but he played a hell of a game. He scored some points too, which was cool, but like more than anything, he played great defense on Antoine Davis. So just a shout out, and I mean, I think that's going to be a lot of the blueprint now, how to beat Mercy in conferences. Can you put a great defender on him that can stay with him? And I'm not sure who does and doesn't have those. And
Gotcha.
But just wanted to, last question that was all related was somebody, Detroit sports fan wanted to know, can Mercy win a game in the Horizon? The answer is absolutely yes, and they will get probably 4 or 5 would be my
No, I got it. So yeah, you guys didn't hear any of that. Sorry guys, can't help you there. So, I know. I'm still trying to. Yeah. So I guarantee we'll do this better next time. Possibly, or I'm just not going to use YouTube again because I'm just not happy with it because it's been kind of a pain in the ass the last couple of hours, and I'm just kind of not dealing with it very well. So yes, so that is not cool. Yeah, I'm getting like nobody wants to. I can't hear anybody. Well, of course you can't hear anybody. So,
it's all right. They'll just have to go back and re-listen to the recording.
Yeah, that's right. And of course you could find those. Obviously you could find those on. Yes, I did enable that. I did do that. I apparently didn't do that. Well, I don't know. Jeez. Oh, for crying out loud. Well, I'm not going to do that right now. I don't really care that much. So, apparently I was supposed to do something else and I didn't do that. Oh, well, life goes on. So, apparently it's supposed to, I added it and then Yoshi. So, figure. Yep, I know. All right, yeah, I suck, guys. Sorry. So, all you can hear is me.
That's extra sucky. No, I'm just kidding.
Got a question from UIC John. Odds that McClain is back next year?
0.
Yes, Matt says 0. But he has a year left, and yes. Yes. As we've been saying, I don't think he's got too much of a. He's got. I mean, the first weekend of the schedule is not very good for them. Not very good at all. So. I mean, they barely eke out a win against Cleveland State, and then they lose to Youngstown State. I don't see them having a very good time about it. To be fair, yeah, and then they got to go up again. Then they got to go up to Green Bay and Milwaukee. And I think that Green Bay really kind of, Green Bay really, given how they plays, I think they're going to square up really well against UIC. Milwaukee is a whole other animal, so I don't know if that's going to be. I don't know what they're going to how they're going to deal with there. We don't have too much of a. If you're UIC, you're probably shopping for a new coach right now. Of course, so is IUPUI, but we already knew that. So, I'm going to take one. Let's see here. One last question, and I'm going to humor John Parker on this one. Cleveland State's 2010s all transferred out team versus Cleveland State's 2010s all graduated team. How many does Norris Cole need to score to get the W?
Question.
Oh my God. Okay, first and foremost, I'd like to point out the fact that, that's a good question because I'm not entirely sure. who the I have to actually figure out who the all graduated team is. Because obviously the all transfer team is going to be Bryn Forbes, Trey Lewis, Anton Grady, Rob Edwards, and Tyree Appleby. Yes, I think they would run. Yeah, I would think they would run those guards out against anybody. And with on the other side, on the graduated side, I mean, I would think obviously Norris Cole would be one. I mean, but man, I'm trying to figure out who else would it be? Maybe Charlie Lee, maybe Trey Harmon, possibly Aaron Pogue. I don't know. I don't know who the fifth guy is who graduated. Man, I don't know. Yeah, I think Norris Cole would probably have to score 40 there. He'd have to do that 40. He'd have to do that 40-point performance like he did against that he did that basically got him he did so great. So I don't know. That's gonna be something. I don't know. That's gonna be but yeah, that's gonna be. Yeah, that's. I don't know. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about all the people who ran away from Cleveland State. There's so many.
Do you think Skelton would coach them?
Well, I mean, technically he is a transfer too.
You coach him and then try to go rob a bank?
Yeah. Well, he's in a more target-rich environment now. He's an assistant at Fordham, so yeah. So anyway, he's tired of talking about them. I don't know what to tell you on that. I don't know. Do we have any other questions? That's a good. I don't know.
I just got one. I responded to it because I didn't know if we were going to go around back to it. But Dread Pirate Rap wants to know if Oakland can beat Wright State on Friday.
Oh, never mind. DeAndre. How did I miss DeAndre Brown? I'm sorry. Parker actually put in DeAndre Brown. I can't believe I missed DeAndre Brown because he actually graduated too. I can't believe. Oh, man, that's terrible. Well, okay. So the question is
knock off Wright State on Friday, and my response, and I'll say it here, was, can they? Yeah, absolutely. Will they? I don't think so. Oakland just still has too many issues with guard play. The rotations are just so crazy. I mean, I saw preseason someone had CJ Gettelfinger as a potential freshman of the year, and now he's not even playing, and I'm hearing that he's being told, like, hey, look, you're probably going to want to transfer. Like, there's just might not be a spot here for you, which is infuriating. But, like, I mean, the rotations are a mess. Zach Goodline, who was going to redshirt, and we've been told all along was probably going to be just a transfer, it was a late addition kind of deal. All of a sudden they burned the transfer, and he got some good minutes, and he played well. I'm not, great. Whatever the answer is. But, I mean, they're running 5 different point guards right now, and none of them seem to really be the answer. Kevin Kangu started again against Mercy. Like, the guard play is just so questionable that I don't see Oakland beating Wright State right now. I mean, that might change down the line if they can get something solid. But right now, unless there was a miracle over the past couple of days, the guard play is just too questionable to beat a great team like Wright State.
No, I get it. Yeah. So, what John Parker snuck in the last question. Does Pat Baldwin make it to next year?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too. This is Amanda Braun's guy, so yeah, I think he's not Rob Jeter. I think he's gonna get a pass even no matter where he finishes. Which is interesting because of where they're. I mean, I'm looking at this Milwaukee team, and I just wonder how well have they progressed? And I'm not. I don't have a good answer for that. I mean, we don't talk. Yeah, ever since we haven't had Jimmy on in a while, and obviously we'd be talking a lot more Milwaukee if Jimmy was here, but I can't really see it. I mean, I'm not seeing the progress. I'll be honest with you.
There isn't any, I don't think, and that's just. I mean, if you're on the inside, you can try to force some optimism, but I think it's tough to say it's real right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. That's gonna be. I think that it's going to be a thing that I don't know if we can. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I don't see the progress, but at the same time, I mean, if you get rid of Pat Baldwin, who you going to bring in? I mean,
you're starting all over, and that's you know we need. It sounds like it's time to get Jimmy back on. Wake up, Jimmy Lemke. We're gonna need you. Let's tag him back in for an episode and see if we're missing something.
We're gonna need to do that because yeah, we'll definitely. Well, Jimmy is gonna come back eventually, so
well, you know who
soon.
Next is Commissioner from Detroit Mercy. You can hopefully give us some Detroit Mercy inside information. He's been tweeting.
We will do that. Yeah, actually, he got into our he already see so yes, he already he is definitely down for an episode. We're definitely going to have Commission on at some point in time. Yes, probably one of the he knows, the guy knows his stuff, and we'll definitely get him on board. So but until that point in time, we're going to go ahead and close this live episode out. And apologies once again, because most of you could not hear Matt. In fact, it sounds like all of you could not hear Matt.
You know what? They're probably happier that way. Let's be real. Most of them aren't that sad about it.
I know Chad Knodel is on. Chad Knodel is on listening, and I know. Wait, do you have him blocked, or have you blocked him? I can't remember.
He has me blocked. Chad, let's unblock. Let's be friends. Come on, Chad.
So I don't because he keeps asking me who's on the. He keeps asking me who's on the podcast with me, and it's like, it's Matt. You should know who he is. You blocked him like a year and a half ago.
I don't block anybody, which was part of the problem from this past week that I'm not getting into right now. I don't block people. It's not worth it.
No, that's and I'm not going to get into that. In fact, I spent the entire weekend moving, so I could not. I don't know what happened this weekend, and more to the point, I don't care. Y'all, whatever it is, y'all work it out amongst yourselves. Leave me the hell out of it.
Exactly.
So this episode we actually are recording it on the back end, so we are definitely going to have that up for the up on the podcast on the page, horizonroundtable.com. So we're definitely going to have that in there. I'm probably going to burn this other video or spend the next year trying to figure out how this OBS stuff works, because apparently I don't know how to use it. I know how to use it to apparently stream, but apparently I don't know how to use it to get other people in like Matt. So I'm going to have to work on that next year. Over the course of the next year, maybe even sooner. I mean, I was thinking if this is going to work, if this worked out, maybe we could do this again on some other platform, because YouTube Live has basically run its course. We don't need the video. We've never needed the video, so it's it's almost useless to me. But yeah, we'll have this posted up later on today. Thank you everybody for all the questions. Love this is the best. This is actually the best part of doing the live episode, because we get a lot of questions from a lot of people. We didn't get so many last year because it was kind of a new thing, but this year we got a lot of questions. So thank you all for participating. So, and listen to us again, horizonroundtable.com. Listen to us wherever you can find podcasts. Open up your Google and Amazon devices and say, roll us up. So yeah, we're done here, and thank you guys all for listening. Thank you guys for participating too.